Okay, well, that's the Sunday papers, and we'll go to Sydney now, and our program guest, the new leader of the Labor Party and, of course, the opposition in New South Wales, John Robertson. Good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Barry.
Nobody gives you or your party any chance of returning to government in 4 years. What do you say?
Well, I say every election is winnable. We've got to work very hard, obviously, to rebuild the trust that we breached with the people of New South Wales, but it's a bit like a sporting analogy. You've got to treat every election like a grand final, and you've got to go in there to win.
But if you look at the result, and it's the worst result for any political party in Australia, you get the sense that what the electorate had in mind is that 4 years wouldn't be an appropriate punishment.
Well, it was an historic election last Saturday. We saw people, for the first time in New South Wales, who'd voted Labor all their lives, vote Liberal. They didn't stop halfway, they went all the way. They passed a judgment on us. A judgment that was clearly one about sending us a clear message, and I've heard that message. That message is very much about stop talking about yourselves, stop announcing, cancelling, re-announcing projects, start getting back to listening to us and representing us.
But you say that the message was stop talking about yourselves, but that's minimising it, isn't it? Because you're really at war with one another, and it wasn't just that. You were hopelessly divided on privatisation. You sacked one leader after another, you had ministerial scandals. It was a lot more than just talking about yourselves.
Well, it was a 4-year period of self-indulgence, and part of it was scandals, part of it was also about those sorts of things where we did tear ourselves apart very publicly. And as everybody says in politics, disunity is death, and what we saw is a message from the electorate very clearly saying to us, you've got to do much better, and we were punished on Saturday, and that was a term that people were using during the campaign, saying we are going to punish Labor, and they certainly did that. We have to accept that. I think, unlike Andrew, I think the public do get it right every time in elections, and clearly they got it right this time. We got what we deserved.
Well, Mike Carlton wrote at the weekend that if you were to win in 4 years, he would parade naked down Macquarie Street playing God Save the Queen on a tin whistle. Now, clearly he thinks that if you want to be Premier, you're going to have to be around for 8 years.
Well, as I say, I'm aiming to rebuild the Labor Party, rebuild the trust that we breached with the people of New South Wales. That requires us to actually go out and talk to people, and I've already started that. I've been to 5 of the seats that we lost already, and I intend over the next fortnight to visit every seat that Labor lost last Saturday. I've been out talking to people. There's no hype, there's no media. It's just me and one other person. For instance, yesterday I was in the seat of Bathurst, walking through Lithgow, stopping people in the shopping centre, introducing myself and asking them what is it that they expect from Labor, what is it that they want to see from Labor. We've got to go back and reconnect with the people and advocate for them.
When you raised that question, what did they say?
Well, they talked about things like the scandals. They talked about things like the announcement of transport projects and the cancelling of transport projects and the re-announcement. They raised with me about privatisation, and they were saying they have greater expectations of the Labor Party on these issues. These are issues of principle, and they were some of the issues that people are saying were crucial in the decisions they made on Saturday the 26th.
Now, what about the Sussex Street brand now? Anywhere in Australia seems to be tainted. It instantly brings to mind the worst aspects of politics. Does it now follow that the influence of New South Wales politicians and New South Wales party apparatchiks has to be diminished as a result of this?
Well, I intend to be a leader that firstly selects a shadow cabinet this week based on merit. I don't think that we can afford to play factional games, particularly when our caucus is only made up of just over 30 people. I've always been somebody who's supported people getting positions based on merit. I intend as leader to make sure that is the case, that we put the best people in the shadow cabinet who can deliver the best outcomes, develop the best policies, so that we become a credible alternative in 4 years' time.
Now, that's internally in New South Wales, but the party president, Anna Bligh, has made this point, that the rest of the country is not going to be listening to New South Wales now in the way that it might have once before. Is that fair enough? Have you deserved that reputation?
Well, I think what we've done to ourselves in New South Wales, we do deserve that. We need to lift our game. We need to do much better than we've done. We've been very self-indulgent over the last 4 years, and we've got to get it together. I've been a minister for just over 2 years in the former government. In that time, I've served under 2 premiers. I had 9 ministerial portfolios. It means that you can't get on with the job of being a minister for a particular area because You've got to develop relationships with directors general. You've got to get your head across particular portfolios. When you start to get into that policy development area, you're moved on. Those sorts of things are just unacceptable.
But you talk about having 9 portfolios, and that's true, but Morris Yemma said that you were the chief wrecker, now in charge of the wreckage. Who, apart from maybe Eddie Obeid, who else did more to wreck the party than yourself?
Well, these people are angry. They're angry about the result last Saturday, and there's a lot of people like that. I had a disagreement with these people over electricity privatisation, and it's just worth making the point I am, and I always will be opposed to electricity privatisation. We had a difference of opinion around those issues. I think it's unfair to simply say that was the whole reason that last Saturday occurred. It was much, much more than that. We had scandals almost on a monthly basis. They're the sorts of things that were actually influencing how people were voting.
But you've taken your share of the responsibility, and yet you still emerge as leader. Is there no one left who doesn't share in that responsibility? Is there no one who wasn't a wrecker?
Well, we all share responsibility. You're right. I've taken my share, and I think everybody has to take their share of the responsibility. There are some new people that have come into the parliament. We've got some new, good young people that Christina Keneally got in at the last election who were successful on Saturday. The fact is, what we need to do now is start going out, listening to people, and start to develop credible policies. We can't change the past, but we can certainly take on board the lesson that we were given last Saturday, and I intend to do that.
Yeah, you talk about the new people coming in, but is it true then to say that of those who survived, there's nobody there who can't be described as a wrecker? They all have to take their responsibility.
Well, I'm not sure I'd use that term, but I think we all equally share responsibility, not just myself and others, but some of those who are also the critics also share responsibility for what happened.
Well, you said you're absolutely, you say you're right on opposing privatisation, but you look at the situation in Victoria where they did privatise, and they appear to have better infrastructure and a superior public transport system. Does that tell you anything?
Well, I also believe that government has a role to play in the delivery of essential services. The Labor Party is a party of values, and it's about making people's lives better. It's about giving them a better quality of life. That's about the delivery of public services, things like public transport, things like electricity. They are important features for a government to play a role in it, and my view is very much that we ought to be making sure governments continue to play that role.
Is there ever a time, though, when the parliamentary party should go against the views of the party more broadly and against public opinion indeed?
Well, we've just had a national review conducted by former Premiers Steve Bracks, Bob Carr, and also Senator John Faulkner, and it actually talks about the democratic processes within the Labor Party. I support those reforms. Those reforms are very much about giving branch members more of a voice inside the party, more of an opportunity to participate in policy development. I actually think that's very important. We've got an ageing membership, and we need to encourage more people to get involved. We need our branches to be active, not just within the party, but also within the community. And I think that's absolutely fundamental, that our party, the processes that it has, like conferences, ought to be part of the development of our policy.
But you've now ordered your own review, and it's going to be conducted by former Deputy Premier John Watkins and the State Secretary in Queensland, Anthony Chisholm. You're calling in a Queenslander.
I think it's important that we get an objective assessment of what happened last Saturday. I think it is appropriate that we bring someone in from outside, someone who will bring a fresh set of eyes, so that whatever the outcomes are of that review, they are from someone external, they are objective, and they're blunt. I think there will be some fairly harsh criticisms of us. And one of the things that I want to do is rebuild and reshape the Labor Party in New South Wales. We have to do that. I think what we saw last Saturday is a reflection of the fact that we need to reshape the party. I want to lead that. I'm not going to be afraid to take on some of those tough decisions within the Labor Party in New South Wales.
Will you release that review, or will you do what they did at the federal level and hide part of it?
Well, I'm not responsible for that. That's a matter that will be dealt with by party office. Certainly, I'm keen. One of the things about me, Barry, is I'm keen to be open, transparent and inclusive rather than exclusive. I think it's important that people get access and are given an opportunity to participate, but that won't be a decision for me. But I'll certainly be pressing that we be as open as we can, particularly with party membership, about that review.
And you also say that part of your strategy is to win back the heartland, but what is the heartland? Who are they?
Well, the heartland are working people. They are small business operators. They are people that work all over Australia. They're the people that get up early every morning, as the Prime Minister described earlier in the week, They are the people who get up, they work hard, and they want somebody who is going to advocate for them. When I was in Lithgow yesterday, I talked to a small business owner running a cafe, and the point he made to me was, there's no one advocating for us. They are our heartland. Our heartland is also people in the factories, the cleaners and those sorts of people. But there's a constituency out there who want to vote Labor. It's my job to go out there and convince them that we are credible and that we are serious.
And what about the people that are referred to so often, the inner city, well-educated professionals? You still want them as part of your team?
Absolutely. We are a broad church in the Labor Party, and we always have been. And they are people that we need to also engage in this debate. Diversity of opinion, differences of opinion are all part of a healthy democracy. And frankly, if we do that, I think as a Labor Party, we will be a better party for that. If we are prepared to engage in a debate of ideas, that was the basis the Labor Party was founded. We were prepared to debate ideas, go out, articulate those ideas, engage the community in that conversation. I think that's a critical part that's been lost in a lot of politics. We no longer go out and engage the community in the debate. That's going to be fundamental. So those people are a critical part of winning back our heartland.
Just a couple of quick questions and quick answers. You've dealt with marijuana and a little more directly than Bill Clinton. Gay marriages.
Look, it's a federal issue, and I have a son who's openly gay. Obviously, I think he's a wonderful person, but it's a matter for the Commonwealth.
Do you support his right to marry?
Well, I see him as a person who is a genuine person who can make a contribution to our society. He's bright, he's intelligent, and to be blunt, I think people should have the same rights.
Euthanasia?
Well, again, I think it's a matter that there's a long way to go in that conversation.
Carbon tax?
Well, I think the first point to make very quickly is that last Saturday's result was not as a result of that. I support the scientific view that climate change is real. I want to get more information from the Prime Minister on the detail of the compensation package before I arrive at a position.
Because given the impact of cost of living on the New South Wales election as a big issue, you'd be a little concerned about $16 a week being the knock-on impact of a carbon tax?
The critical thing here is the full package. I want to see the detail of the full package, including the compensation, because so far what I've heard is that people will be compensated. I'll obviously, as leader, be seeking a detailed briefing from the Commonwealth.
Thanks for your time this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you.